Welcome back to the Eaker Show, the podcast where we strike a still pose, hit you with ill flows that don't even make sense, like dykes using dildos. This week I'm here with Italian influencer, Mack Pain.
It's a big honor for me today. How are you feeling?
Terrific, dude. So I met Mack through jiu-jitsu and then later through massage. And so now every time we encounter each other, we do an odd series of touching to really kick off the interaction.
You know, it's like mothers and babies. You meet them, you gotta hug them.
Yes.
That's
yes,
how
it
I
feels
feel
good,
about you.
man. It kind of feels good. I can tell you do massage because you're very comfortable with the touching. And also jiu-jitsu makes you very comfortable with the touching.
I've done a lot of touching in my day. Things like that happen, man. Football locker rooms go crazy. I got this video with a guy who's actually a very famous influencer right now. He was living in this house. His name's Jaden Hostler. There's a video of him saying I kissed him, which is not true. It was an accident. The part he left out is after that allegedly or accidentally happened, I double-legged him and mounted him. And I tapped. That's because I was going to throw up on him.
That sounds way straighter, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Nothing like a guy on top of another guy in a locker room. Great Italian American.
Jiu-jitsu really gets you, I don't know, just used to the touching and also kind of feet, too. It gets you really, desensitized. To people that say they hate feet could never do jiu-jitsu.
I think they're lying, personally.
Yeah,
that's just me.
You know they love them.
They're crazy for that one, man.
You know any feet guys?
You know, I was looking through my record. I have 17 leg lock finishes.
Okay.
Crazy. And I know what you're thinking, man. You spend a lot of time in jiu-jitsu, you get comfortable with touching. But personally, me, I'm a professional misogynist, licensed in the state of Tennessee, working on Georgia, but they're a bunch of retards.
Link in the bio, by the way.
Who up link in their bio. Not linking they log.
So how many fights have you done?
I mean, most people don't consider jiu-jitsu a fight. They just call it gay. They really call it
how many gays
gay,
have you done?
Too many, bro. Too many. I actually
gays.
fought a guy who I'm pretty sure was a male stripper.
Oh.
Yeah, interesting,
How
man.
could you tell? You had great pecs.
I wish.
I feel like all male strippers really invest in the pecs heavily.
I mean, I know ones, except they weren't male initially. Things happen, man. Freaking out. No, I saw something about him posting like some adult men entertainment stuff or something. It's like, is this dude a stripper? I wasn't too sure.
He could be on male OnlyFans. I feel like as a guy on OnlyFans, you're like really relegated to jacking off for gays.
Interesting. I haven't thought about that personally. I did have a coach though who used to sell his stuff on OnlyFans. Interesting
His
guy.
coaching or his meat?
I never really asked.
Okay. My ex-girlfriend was really excited for me to do OnlyFans. She made me, because when like my music was going crazy and we were doing the podcast, there was like I would get a lot of messages. It would be nice to tell you that they were from girls, but they were never from girls.
They never are, man.
No.
You know, dude, I got a message. It's like, dude, I like your vibe. You like leg locks and jiu-jitsu? And it's like, cool, dude. I know you're probably a pedophile. Hey, man, it happened to me the first 3 times. Maybe third time will be the charm.
Yeah, she actually made me make an account, submit my ID, and then when it really came down to it, I was like, look, let's view who really is wanting me to be on here. It's like there's maybe 3 girls and like 35 guys, and I'm not just going to jack for a bunch of guys.
You know, you're real for that.
Yeah, how much money can you even make? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like with OnlyFans, I've never been a subscriber, but if you do, what do you do, a month? You see a girl's titties and her pussy, and then you're done with it. You don't need to keep. Are there lifelong subs on OnlyFans?
I don't know, man, but personally, me, I'm really into submission.
Okay.
Mostly just a jiu-jitsu thing.
Back to how many gays you had.
I was looking through all my matches because I'm trying to go to my friend's Tay's place and do like some seminars and try to do massage over in like California or something. Not California. What is it? Carolina? There's like 2 of them. I'm not sure. But I was going through my matches and I saw I had 31 submission victories, which is crazy. And now some of those people had never trained before. Some of them people were autistic. But hey, a number's a number, man. That's what matters.
And then with MMA, have you done any of that?
Well, I fought a guy at an Applebee's one time.
Okay,
that was fun.
That counts.
And he had a good fight record, except it wasn't really an official fight, and his head was next to some pee. Great guy, though.
So you've never done like an official MMA fight?
I was actually supposed to do an MMA fight this weekend. That did not end up happening, though.
Why not?
Well, the guy didn't really respond to me when I asked him about fighting and told him I could fight today, but he sent me a video of him dancing. Good dancing, not gonna lie. But he said he couldn't get people to show up, which would have been helpful before I did all the training. I was sparring with some dudes.
So it's supposed to be this weekend?
Yeah, it's supposed to be today.
Today?
Yeah.
I'm glad he canceled.
You know, me too, buddy. I liked eating.
So do we think he really couldn't get people out, or he was just pussy?
I don't know, man. Well, I don't even know who the guy I was supposed to fight is. It's just supposed to be some random dude showing up in a grass field in Lafayette that's supposed to fight. Yeah, much from the north, so I say Lafayette.
I did see some videos of you doing like some palm strikes. That's not jiu-jitsu. What is that?
I used to be really fat, and I used to play a lot of fighting games. I spent 8 hours in my room playing as Ryu in Street Fighter 4, doing Shoryuken 1/10 of a second links to a FADC U2. But to say I used to watch a ton of martial arts videos and play a ton of games and a lot of Baijiquan stuff. I have a video on my Instagram of me doing a 1 versus 2 MMA fight. That ended up being a 1 versus 3 MMA fight. That didn't go well for me. But while I was doing well, I know a guy.
Okay.
They also weren't very trained, but one of those guys, I hit him with a thing called a frog punch. This recorded? Can we see this? Like if I get out, will it show?
Yeah, stay in this general V shape.
General area?
Yeah.
I put my hands up like this. I came down and I jumped him into
with
him
both
2 hands. Yeah.
Okay, almost like an ultimate punch.
It's a frog punch. It's actually a Hajime no Ippo thing. I also hit him with this one called the... I hit him with this one called the Tetsu Zanko or Tianshanko, the Iron Mountain Lean, which is right there.
And where does that strike somebody at?
Where?
Yeah, when you...
Oh, it can really be anywhere. I ended up, elbowing him in the head, but it was good for him. He never really trained before. Didn't afterwards. I don't know why. He had a great experience.
I would say 1 elbow to the head.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was the fight that I saw where you're like, it looks jiu-jitsu-y, but you're giving palm strikes down?
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was a combat jiu-jitsu match I had against a non-denominational pastor. That was a fun one. And it was on a Saturday, so right after that, he went on to preach. My mama was saying, I don't know what he's telling them, but he sure ain't following the rules. Because this dude, I'm not sure, but they told me he kicked me in the head and punched me in the head. And in the rule set, it was only supposed to be palm strikes and slaps. I ended up winning on DQ. We just tell him that I won. And we only post the clip of me hitting him with 7 illegal strikes to the back of the head.
Whatever.
But it is what it is. Yeah, dude, I was so underweight for that fight. The guy before that, I fought a 52-year-old in combat jiu-jitsu who had done some MMA before, and I didn't even hit him. I just armbarred him. I sat down, fell on top of me. I got on top of him. I covered his eyes. I covered his ears. I think did I cover his mouth? I forget. I tried a mounted go-go plot of him. I'm going to have to show this one. Think we can hear? I tried to bring my shin over his throat while in mount. Didn't work very well. Been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time.
Flexibility's crazy.
The thing is, too, those strikes I was doing to the guy, they were kind of all illegal because they were to the back of the head. But, I made for a good video.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I definitely saw that one, and it struck me because I thought you were just a jiu-jitsu guy.
I mean, I basically am. A lot of people call me gay. Girls aren't working out too well. Still trying, though, but it is what it is.
Yeah, what you would think that getting into something like jiu-jitsu is like girls would love that. Dude, they don't give a fuck. At all. They don't care at all.
But I had some girls comment on the booty shorts, which I actually got from another coach of mine. He had worn those in the past. Great Italian American. Some call me Mack Booty Shorts Pain. There's some people in the group chat call me other things that rhyme with pain, sometimes Mack Painel, things of that nature.
Okay.
Great people. Yeah,
I've seen that before.
Sorry you saw that, man.
I don't usually click those.
I've been told I have to close my eyes. Shout out
I'm
my mom.
trying to get off
She's protecting me.
I'm trying to get off the porn, dude.
It's a good thing to do.
I'm falling into this trap of Christian nationalism mostly through Instagram Reels.
Interesting.
When I get on Instagram, I'm pretty sure Instagram wants me to be the N-word.
Interesting.
A Nazi.
That one. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about too. Totally, man.
When I say the N-word, I'm always talking about Nazis. Yeah,
but it's just like
it's a lot of just like militant Christian radicalism.
I don't know anyone like that at all, especially not anyone I train with.
Yeah, there's nobody in the jiu-jitsu community that is a militant Christian radical.
Or MMA. Wouldn't know any of them. I know a lot of other radicals, too. I know some Muslim radicals. I knew this one chick who was like a Kurdish, almost Zoroastrian national.
That's a white Muslim, right?
Kind of, but she hated Muslims, but then she said she converted to Islam one day.
Oh, no, Kurds are Christians, right?
No. Kurds have their own thing. You know how Turkey has a flag with the moon on it?
Yep.
It's not a moon for Islam. It's a moon for another religion that they practice. I forget the name of it.
It's not Zoroastrianism?
No. Zoroastrianism, I think, is lower in Iran or Iraq. I can't recall.
It was originally an Iranian religion. I think it's the oldest continuously practiced religion on Earth.
Not for long.
Are they gone?
They're about to be.
Are we weeding them out?
I miss that chick so much. Actually, she was crazy. Really crazy.
I think they say that Turkey is the next people that we're trying to like spark it off with.
They're people?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. There actually are some really pretty ones there, but they're like a combination of 10 different races, which is kind of cool.
I don't know if I've ever like known a Turkish person.
That's good.
I know people go there for hair transplants.
You know, I know some people about to go there for hair transplants. There's also massage stuff there too. I was talking to a chick in the clinic, and she was when I was doing clinicals, and she was telling me she was on some like missionary trip, and they put her on like a stone and threw water on her, did a bunch of stuff. You can find some videos in New York about Turkish bath clubs. A lot of handsome men commenting on it very, very enthusiastically. Wonder what goes on there.
That's a Turkish bath club is code for something?
I mean,
like Chinese massage?
They are an actual thing. I just think there happen to be some weird stuff going on in them. But there's a big culture of, especially outside of the U.S., getting bathed while that's happening. They'll smack you with branches and put oils on you and, like, freaking feed you and stuff. Like, obviously, it's not as bad with Asian massage stuff. When people generally refer to Asian massage, it's generally some kind of prostitution thing, especially when they say massage parlor. And the term masseuse, that's a sexual term. And masseur,
is it really?
Yeah, you're supposed to say massage therapist now.
Massage therapist. Yeah. That's one of those PC things.
Yeah, it is.
I know that I used to go to this massage place in Virginia Beach. It was called Ann Spa. Not Ann's Spa, Ann Spa.
Like one word?
ANNE space SPA. And for $60, you could get an hour massage with a table shower.
Really?
But for $40 additional, they would jack you. So you would get like the 50 minutes of massage. And then if you got Ann, you were lucky. Ann was like a 65-year-old Chinese lady.
She sounds nice.
Dude, her hands felt like they had been soaked in massage oil for 55 years.
Really?
They were so soft, but almost a little pruny to give it some texture. But she would do the massage, which was kind of good. Normally at these places, the massage is really bad. Yeah. It's like you can tell they're just going through the motions to get to the jack. They're heavy on the insides of the legs. You know what I'm saying?
Adductors are really important.
Yes.
Where's that abductor? I forget the letter.
Yeah. A, B, D, A.
Hey, man, I passed those letters. I was in kindergarten twice. Wasn't for me.
Yeah, but then Ann would tap you and she would say, "You want?" And you would say, "Yeah." And she would go, "S40." And you would go, "Okay." So she would jack you. Then they would do the hot towel and clean the oil off. And then she would give you a table shower. They would take you to another room. They would give you like this robe. And she would like soap you up and like wash your whole body. And it was with the credit card transaction fee of $3. It was $103 out the door for a 60-minute massage, a jack, and a table shower. That's capitalism manifest.
You know, man, I've been thinking about capitalism. I'm not too sure if I'm big on it. I really like the $2 glizzy, though. That'd do something for me.
Is that Costco?
Yeah, Costco. No, I think it's $2.50 with the beverage, but you can't even have that many beverages.
Yeah, I try to not get too into, I guess that was like when I was younger, when I was like 24, 25. Yeah, I was a big glizzy guy.
Hey, man, it's the military. What are you going to do?
No, but thinking about capitalism, because you read like Karl Marx's critiques of capitalism.
Dude, and it's like, I read?
And it's like, damn, those are accurate. Like, all of that stuff is accurate. Like, eventually there's going to be one mega corporation that owns the entire world.
Well, it's like Idiocracy, if you've ever seen that, you know? But I used to be really big into libertarianism. I got a crazy award back in high school. We'd do current events, and I'd just choose some random crazy website on some weird libertarian fringe. But eventually I was like, you know, a lot of the problems we have are due to capitalism. Like freaking politicians being bought out by these people, vapes being sold to kids, you know, porn on like lobbying. Snapchat and things like this, right? And it's like a lot of this degeneracy is just going to keep getting worse. Like if you see Idiocracy, there's only 2 channels on the TV. One's porn and one's a guy getting kicked in the balls. Yeah. That's what people want, and they make it cheap. And then everything's just owed. And it's like at a certain place, you know, maybe there should be laws to defend against debauchery. People are like, you can't legalize morality. I mean, murder's illegal.
Well, there's where you get into the Christian nationalism.
Really, what makes you think I'd be into that?
But it's not you specific, you know. But I do want to live in a moral country. I want to live like I think the country was founded on Christian values. I think it was founded maybe not by Christians, but people who wanted the Christian ethos to be the law of the land. And when people say that like America doesn't have a religion,
it does.
It does. It so does. Like
they just won't say it. You know?
Yeah, and they say, well, separation of church and state. Well, like, yeah, the practicing maybe, but not the ethos that the country was founded upon.
Well, the thing was, a lot of those guys were like deists or Freemasons or Hellfire Club. Like, I'm related to Thomas Paine, and he was a deist, but they were into some weird stuff, man. And recently, I've converted to Catholicism, so a lot of things are different, but it's like they were getting away. But initially, Plymouth, one of them, there's 2 towns that was originally founded. One was for religious freedom because I think they were Quakers or something of that equivalent, and one was for economic means, right? And only one of them survived, and they ended up being like, oh, Plymouth is actually working, let's make a country out of it. And then, you know, all those things happened there, but there seems to be a thing where people let their nationalism affect their politics. Like, a lot of American values aren't values everywhere else. Like, liberty means different things to different people. In a Christian sense, liberty can mean having the ability to not be a slave to sin, whereas other people might think liberty means I get to do what I want and chase what makes me happy. You know,
that's probably the conventional Western interpretation of it, I think.
Yeah.
Got the John Locke tat over here. Was a big liberty guy. I was actually the president of the Young Americans for Liberty at Dalton State when I went there. I was so into libertarian politics.
Me too.
I used to stand on the side of the college and just fucking bark at people that would walk by and ask them what they thought about immigration.
I wonder how that one would go.
Not great on a college campus. It seems like people would really love for just open borders.
Yeah, well, it's also like college is a weird thing because you get out of high school and it's like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? I'm guessing I'm going to be in school for 4 years, and you might have a part-time job, but then you're thousands of dollars in debt, and all you know is what you heard in college. And in college, you're surrounded by a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing and don't know what they're doing in life, and they try to make themselves feel better. Obviously not all the time, but with whatever drugs, pleasures, hobbies, relationships they can think, Now, personally, I was a bit of a retard. I got a 5 in a class in college, so it is what it is.
A 5?
Yeah, 5.
You ever seen the interview from a guy named Yuri Bezmenov? He was a defector from the KGB who came here in like 1983 or something, and did this interview about how the Soviets had a plan to infiltrate the universities, and that was like they were going to infiltrate the publishing houses and the universities to slowly, over the course of 3 generations, turn America into like a communist wasteland to weaken us.
Yeah.
It's almost like that. College, I think I ended up dropping out because the head of history at Dalton State was I don't want to characterize anybody, but she was like a 53-year-old lesbian with a bob who lived at home in an apartment with 3 cats.
You got her number?
Yeah.
Girl, you lesbian? Me too.
And the first day of class, she really, you could tell, artificially inserted how diversity was the greatest strength of a nation.
It is our strength.
Diversity is our strength. And then went on to talk about how China was outrunning America in like the economic,
which seems kind of racist, honestly. Especially, and they're also a racially homogenous society.
That's what I asked.
Like
I
Japan.
Said, what do you say about China being like the most racially homogenous country on earth? Like they're 99% Han Chinese.
Oh, they're homo?
Yeah. And she did not like that. There was not a lot of pushback in the moment. Yeah. She was just like, we're not talking about that right now. But she had just transitioned. Like you brought it up. Yeah, she had just transitioned out of the diversity is our greatest strength thing. But it's weird, like borders and stuff, it's weird to think about. Because I did a bunch of acid one time, and I was laying on my back porch, and I was looking at the stars, right? And I was thinking about if aliens came to Earth, they would look down, and they would not see borders like how we see borders when we look at a globe. They would just see like different groups of people just like clashing with one another.
Shout out Clash of Clans.
Shout out Clash of Clans. I used to have a group. I used to have a clan on there when I was in the Navy.
You seem like a big Klansman.
I am in the hood.
You wild for that one.
Yeah, I think that. I think aliens would understand probably the concept of territory dispute, though. Surely that's
well,
universal.
They'd also probably see like ways people talk or how they congregate differently or how they dress differently or even things like that. But borders is a real one, man. People talk about America being the melting pot, but that really just happened because of a cultural Marxist. It's a term for those who know. In the 1940s, I want to say Leon Trotsky, but I don't believe it was actually Leon Trotsky. Before that, it was very strict laws on only European immigration. And, you had to have someone come over. Like one of my family members, he came over as a farmer in Vermont. Another one ended up being like a taxi driver. And, one was like Dutch.
I bet I can guess which one was Italian.
Taxi driver. Forgot about it. He's a friend of mine. He's a friend of yours.
Hey, I'm a walking here.
Hey, I'm a whopping here. Forget about it. Call me Burger King Whopper. 5%.
Yeah, I traced my ancestry back. It was really cool because I was able to trace my paternal lineage back to the Protestant Reformation when they started.
I know some guys did that.
Yeah, it was like 1553 in Zurich, Switzerland. It was the first time that I was able to trace. It was like an 11th great-grandfather. Yeah. And then his grandson actually was the one that immigrated to America, and there was a book written about him called The Shoe Cobbler's Kin because he had stopped in Alsace, Germany for 20 years to become a shoe cobbler to get his sons and his sons' families over to America.
They real for that one.
And then his son was arrested for providing aid to the British during the American Revolution because
turncoat.
He had moved. They came to Pennsylvania, as a lot of Germans did, and then there was like a new settlement founded in North Carolina where he was basically land granted 2,800 acres.
Really?
And rich people during the Revolution obviously sided with the British because that was the institution that provided them security on their land. So he had like housed British troops and ended up being in trouble for that.
There's a lot of different takes on the Revolution too. Like, you know, there's things in the Bible about obeying the governing authorities, and you know, we can talk about our, you know, freaking politicians or child eaters and doing all the Epstein stuff and everything. But even back then, like, you know, Nero happened. He was freaking crazy. You know, they were
married
pagan
his horse.
gods and things like that. Hey, who didn't? I thought he married his daughter.
I think it was his
or
horse.
brother. I thought it was someone's brother. Did he marry a horse?
You know what he also did, though? After the fire, he built back like 90% of Rome in stone. Most of the Rome you see today is because of Nero.
Thanks, Nero.
Yeah.
Really messed up dude. I think he married his stepson, who he had dressed as a girl.
Oh, that did happen.
Very inclusive.
That did, yeah, before it was popular. They were kind of big on sexual debauchery, though.
Weren't they? I hear some of that isn't true. Like, they talk about how they were gay, but they never actually do, like, sodomy acts. It was just things close, which obviously isn't good or anything. And I'm pretty sure they were pedophilic in nature, which a lot of other things are, but we can get into that later.
Well, I watched the thing about, the pedophile claims of, like, ancient Rome and stuff like that, where they would have, like, boys assigned to them, kind of like...
Like pedagogy?
Yes, Plato and Aristotle, like how they were... But it was, like, heavily frowned upon to like have sexual relations with your boy. And there's only 114 written accounts of that interaction even ever happening where someone was like assigned a boy. But obviously with the like shift of popular culture towards like an LGBT friendly narrative, of course that has taken like a forefront as opposed to like the countless documents.
But even then, it wasn't really the same in the sense of how it was accepted and the things that would actually happen, you know?
It was more tutelage.
Yeah.
I think.
It was a big teaching thing, but also some say that's an attack on the things that Greece and, you know, Rome accomplished and that they're trying to undermine those things. Like the word Mongol, for example, that came from the USSR and a communist thing to undermine the achievements of Chinggis Khan, who actually, there's a lot of things about him. They say he really only had like one wife. That's to be disputed, honestly, but he gets a lot of bad rap.
Yeah, he does. I wonder why that is. You know, I saw a thing where they drilled ice cores from Greenland, like down 2 miles, and you can basically track the oxygen isotopes in ice to determine what the oxygen CO2 ratio in the atmosphere was at the time, and that you notice a noticeable drop around like the 1400s.
I wonder how that happened.
I think he killed like 40% of the world's population.
It's for the best.
One of my favorite historical stories. Have you ever heard of the Siege of Baghdad?
No, but I've probably heard something about it.
Okay, so the Siege of Baghdad is like an awesome story. So Genghis Khan was coming across like the Pontic Steppes, right?
Yeah.
And he had this policy where he would send emissaries into the city with gifts, and he would basically tell them, you can keep your religion, you can keep your government, just pay tribute, and everything will be fine. We will just pass right by your city.
Yeah.
And so Baghdad, being like the cultural center of the Middle East at the time and like the military powerhouse of the Middle East, decided to kill the emissaries.
Sure, that one.
And one thing about the Khans is you don't kill their emissaries.
Yeah.
They were big on hospitality. So Baghdad had what was considered to be impenetrable walls around it. They were like 40 feet tall and 20 feet thick. And so Genghis Khan's strategy was he knew that he couldn't siege the walls. So instead of trying to breach the walls, he had his engineers level every tree within 80 miles of the city and build his walls around their walls to stop supply chains. It took him, I think, 9 months before, and they were also taking any pestilent deaths that they had in the Mongol army, they would take and catapult into the city.
Oh, that's
They
nice.
had like a rudimentary understanding of virology even in the 1400s.
Well, they were big fans of immigration. They know it was really their strength.
Diversity.
So true.
So eventually there were defectors on the inside because of the famine and the plagues that were going on inside the city that came out. When they opened the doors or to the walls, the
Not really
Mongol
tolerant
army...
of them.
Tolerant?
Yeah.
Not very
They
tolerant.
didn't like the other people coming in. Weird.
They went in, they killed every man in the city, literally every man in the city, even the architects, the engineers.
I bet rape went down, though.
Well, they sold every woman and child into slavery.
Never mind.
They brought the population of Baghdad essentially to zero in one day.
Wow.
There was like 80,000 executions.
Sounds pretty Islamophobic.
Yeah. Was it Islam was a thing then? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Islam started around 500 or 600 AD. Oddly enough, one of the scribes for Muhammad actually ended up becoming a saint of the Orthodox Church because he's like, wait, this dude's retarded. There's going to be a lot of flack. But he's like, wait, this guy's just changing up the story as he goes. Muhammad wasn't literate, so he had a bunch of other people write it for him, and then he defected. Then he got killed. Great stuff, man.
I hung out with a Palestinian chick the other night. And
Nice.
she was talking to me about how peaceful Muhammad was. And I don't know anything about the Quran, but I do know, like, I know how Islam spread.
Yeah.
It definitely spread at the edge of a sword.
So true.
The blade of a sword, which is kind of how all ideology spreads.
The good ones, at least.
Yeah, it was Mao that said,
Great chairman.
Mao said, political power comes out of the barrel of a gun.
So true.
That is so true.
The wheels of fate are turned by blood alone. Dwight Schrute.
Yes. I did not expect that to be
He
the
quoted
person
it from
who said
someone
that.
else.
I'm sure he did. Wow, we got really into a rabbit hole on political radicalism there.
So true. We can do it more. But why'd you start jiu-jitsu? I think that'd be an interesting one.
Okay. Why did I start jiu-jitsu? I was going insane. I had done a breakup last August.
Hey, me too.
And I was down horrendously, I guess you would say.
All things are down. You got to go up with the boys.
Yeah, I was like in court for custody. I was big sad over that. And I was working out, and I'm also like 100% disabled veteran, so I like have unlimited free time and all my bills are paid.
I got ADHD too.
Yes, that's basically what got me. And so I was like, dude, I want to do something like hard. But I didn't know how hard it was actually. And then I go in and Keely fucking just like day one triangles me almost to the point of death. And I'm like,
Good times.
oh, that's a 125-pound
Yeah.
girl that like I'm really trying my hardest. And I'm fucking, I would,
Yeah, almost freaking dead.
yeah, if she weren't just a nice person and we were in the wild, I would be dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is fucking awesome.
It's crazy how that stuff works, man. I remember I was like 16 and I was drilling with this 12-year-old and we were doing like triangle strangles, which not sure if y'all can see it. This, yeah, you're probably just not going to see it. Imagine this and another one wrapped around it. Anyway,
I put an image of a triangle up here.
you reel for that one. And I was like, I got up out of it and we were just drilling and I was going like this and I couldn't feel anything and smacking myself. Turns out I was unconscious. There was a great guy back in the day, Chance Gilbride, powerful fighter. I was like 16 and I showed up for open mat at 9 before anything started. And I brought my gloves because I wanted to do Muay Thai. And he's like, dude, let's do some striking. I'm like, okay. We started and he starts. I'm not sure who started, if I was throwing hard first or he was throwing hard first, but all I remember is I felt like I was going to die. I started throwing as hard as I could. And then like I like glanced him for a second. He's like, dude, why'd you do that? And I was like, I thought you were trying to kill me. And he's like, quoted that thing from King of the Hill where it's like, oh, look, the eagle is saving the fish from the water. I was going, dude, I used to get the crap beat out of me.
You did a lot of striking?
No.
I'm kind of scared of it.
Me too,
I'm a
man.
little
It
scared.
kind of hurts. I got punched the other day and I heard my vertebrae crack and I spun like twice in a circle. It's pretty bad.
The cartoonish.
It really was
socked.
cartoonish, man. My buddy who did that, he's Middle Eastern, like 25% Italian, and he looks just like Christopher Moltisanti.
Okay.
Great dude, man. I used to do a bit of striking, but I got my feet broken so early on. Shout out Peptides. Need some of them. Shout out Ambush Peptides. Love y'all.
Hey, this is a great opportunity. I don't want to cut you off. This podcast is sponsored by Ambush Peptides. I have a link in the description below. Use the discount code Edward Eaker, no spaces, no caps. It'll be down there next to the discount code to get 20% off everything on the site. If you haven't tried peptides yet, it's the cure to obesity. If you got soft tissue injuries, it's the cure to that. I don't want to sit here and snake oil sales you guys, but I use a lot of these things. They're fucking incredible. They really will help you. You can message me or you can go to the Ambush Peptides website and message the customer care section there, and they will give you all the information you need. Back to the pod.
Real for that one. If you want to stop being gay, you can cycle off Tren and get on that.
Yes.
Or it might get you into fat girls. You never know. Not the peptides, the Tren. Heard a lot of stories.
That's the big side effect of Tren is fat girls.
Heard.
Tren and Adderall.
Hey, dude, mass moves mass. You heard? I actually got to get a thing scheduled for Adderall. But, dude, medical system is just so dumb.
Don't do it.
Well, it's like, I'll take it, dude, and I'm like, feel like I'm on meth and I'm sweating and super irritable, but I can actually get stuff done, which is
yeah.
generally kind of hard, but I need to make money. I'm planning a trip to Thailand, not for nefarious reasons. I want to learn massage, not the bad kind.
Here's the trick if you go to Thailand. And y'all try this at home. On boys, the ring finger is longer than the index finger. On girls, the index finger is longer than the ring finger. That's your telltale. Because they be on
I don't want them with no tails.
puberty blockers so early that you can't see the Adam's apple. They have soft, supple faces. But Adderall, dude, I fell into the trap. I started getting prescribed it when I was like 13 or 14.
Oh, that's bad age.
That's a bad age. It's like, dude, this kid can't pay attention in school. Give him meth.
Yeah.
And so obviously I I would save them up for like 3 days and then take like all of it at once and just fucking geek the fuck out.
It's crazy.
So I ended up kind of spiraling and trying to kill myself, and I had to go live in a mental institution in Atlanta, and then I had to change schools, and I was like kind of a teen junkie, but like legally, like the doctor was allowing me to do this.
Yeah, it's like he's making you take it,
Yeah, but then in later life, and there's the upside of the productivity is fucking insane.
Yeah.
On it. Like, especially if you're like, we're all over the place.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to focus. Not responding to that.
We can bounce through topics really quick, which is good for this, but bad for everything else.
Like anything that requires making money or getting something done. I was making that rule. It took 4 hours, and I was supposed to get it done like 2 weeks ago. And those matches were literally, like some of them were from 6 years ago when I was like a senior in high school. The first time I tried Adderall, it was for studying for my MBLEX exam, which is a really, really hard massage licensing exam. It's a lot of health stuff. Like for people who don't know, massage in our school, it was like maybe 10% actual touching. The rest was book work. We did the muscular system, the skeletal system, some of the nerves, the lymphatic system, the venous system, blood, heart, lungs. It was way crazier than I thought it would be. We did like cranial facial nerves, a lot of fun songs, dances too. But I took Adderall for the first time, and I thought I was going crazy, man. I felt hot. I felt like I was shaking. My eyes were dilating, and I took a full dose, and it was like, I forget, it was like a dose of a woman's yet, because I had been diagnosed out of college, but I didn't want the pills because I felt like it was a cop-out. But at this point, it's like, okay, I have to go through 1,000 test prep questions before this because this thing's like $300, dude. And I'm like, this would literally change everything. But it's like anyone was talking to me, I'd want to freaking punch them.
Yep.
I was shaky. I didn't want to be around people.
Super socially anxious.
Yeah. And like, I already got some social anxiety, but I can talk and joke around. But it's like anyone was around me, I just wanted to beat them up. And it's like, I never understood how people could be, introverted. But when I was like on Adderall, it's like, this is probably how that happens. How a bunch of people turn into furries and some crazy stuff. Shout out Uma Musume. Yeah, Uma Musume Pretty Derby. It's like they take Japanese racehorses, they make them into anime girls, and they sing and do races.
We'll have that link in the bio, the link in the description, by the way.
Amen. Uma Musume.
Uma
Musume. There's a song for it. There's actually like 30 songs. They're actually pretty good. Not that I've listened to a lot of it. But it goes Hashire, Hashire, Uma Musume, because it's based off Japanese horse racing.
This is like K-pop, but...
It's Japanese, but close enough.
The Jap version?
Jap's a slur too. Interesting. I remember, I was squatting one day. My grandpa was like, you're sitting like an Oriental. And I got an Asian friend. Really, really racist.
Is that a slur?
Yeah,
Oriental?
It's like saying colored now. Interesting, right?
Okay. Colored feels worse than the N-word, if we're being honest.
And you could say people of color, but you can't add the ER on there.
No.
And I understand why. It does sound bad, but it's like, it is kind of weird how they sound alike. But it's connotations. Same with masseuse and masseur, right? People say masseuse, but that's only for females. Masseur is for males. But
yes.
Still, it's just the connotations that surround these things, really.
Worse than even colored is colored.
Colored. Hello.
Colored boy. That sounds crazy.
Doesn't it, man? The thing is, too, all my black friends are really, really racist.
I feel like mine, even more than my black friends, my Mexican friends, I feel like I get along with Mexicans so well. Like Dalton is like 70% Hispanic.
Really? I never noticed.
It's only when you go anywhere. But I feel like, I don't know, there's like a shift going on. There's like a cultural shift of
I think it's Instagram, honestly.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I feel like it's just making shit like, okay, we can laugh.
Yeah.
We don't have to be so tense about the racism thing.
Because it's like people joke around, but people aren't willing to joke around. Sometimes it's just like busting your balls. Like you call your friend gay or something, then you do something else. And, a lot of people, they only grow up around people they're comfortable with, like whites with whites, blacks with blacks.
Yep.
And it's like, hey, we can actually both joke with each other.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be anything
It
crazy.
doesn't have to be tense. We don't have to. We don't have to flip a car over.
Shout out car guys. Not confrontational at all. Or gun guys.
Shout out truck guys, dude.
Shout out truckers. A guy in my family was a trucker. Died. Heart attack.
Really?
Yeah, great guy.
From them pills.
Honestly, I don't know. They say he was running double, like the logbooks and like working everything. And this was before computers, and like he'd never sleep or anything. I don't know, man. But they say they introduced like crank and no sleeping pills and freaking meth and war and stuff. I hear back in Vietnam when people were depressed, they just give them heroin.
Damn, I've never done heroin, but I bet that would help.
I got a guy.
I've done Oxycontin.
I'm just kidding. Never done drugs, actually.
I got to really kind of sometimes be careful at what I say on here because they were using.
I don't think you said anything inappropriate.
No, they used my my social media posts and my podcast even in court in my custody case.
Oh, that's nice.
So like it's really hard to be funny. Like I've had to really scale back my social media absurdity because I don't want to have to sit in a courtroom where they say, you were quoted as saying, children and dogs are cowards for dying in hot cars. I could sit in a hot car for hours and be fine.
Dude, I've done sauna weight cuts. I lost 20 pounds. They can't do it.
Dude, I signed a weight cut for my jiu-jitsu tournament. Everybody in the gym told me not to. They were like, dude, it is not
Horrible
that deep.
idea.
They were like, it's not that deep. But I lost like 9 pounds the day before.
Oh, that sucks.
Bro, I sat in the sauna for 30 minutes. I get out of the sauna and go weigh myself. I'd lost 4 pounds.
Dude, that's the worst. When you're
like,
killing
oh.
yourself. Dude, I know a guy. He was up at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. He was in the sauna in a hot bath for an hour, and he lost like half a pound.
Bath is way worse than sauna. I did bath first and literally left my house and drove to the sauna. Yeah, but God.
And you can just play on your phone.
Yeah, the sauna's rough on the phone.
Yeah.
You get the fucking, you can use it again when you're at a normal temperature warning.
We had a buddy back then. He's actually in the UFC now, Torres Finney. He's a really cool guy, man. He's actually a really big nerd.
Mike told me he was the strongest guy he ever rolled with.
He reminds me a lot of myself.
I see the resemblance.
Great Italian-American. But we had this sauna where your head would be out of it and you're still in it. And he was just sitting there sweating his freaking balls off, cutting weight, watching General Grievous versus Anakin Kenobi with his head out.
It was like a
yeah, just
stock.
freaking hear like his head. Sounds a little historically inappropriate. And then just watching freaking Obi-Wan and General Grievous go out of it.
With him being Italian, it's fine, I'm sure. I've never watched Star Wars,
Never watched Star Wars?
So I'm a huge virgin incel nerd.
Hey, me
fat
too.
Pussy. And so everyone tells me that I will love Star Wars.
You would.
And I know I would, but I feel like that's the reason I don't want to do it is because I
You
know,
like it too much?
Not even too much. It's just like it is a mainstream, well-liked thing by people that are like me. And I just hate the idea of liking something other people like.
The thing you can do, which this is going to get real nerdy, is get into the EU. It's no longer considered canon, but that's where all the good stuff's supposed to be. My buddy
EU?
Brivin Sullivan, extended universe. So when Lucasfilm sold to Disney, they said all this stuff is now not canon. Right.
Okay.
So there was all these books that actually continue the story from episode 6, right? And nowadays they made the movies and those are horrendous. Don't watch them.
I've heard.
But there's some really cool stuff where they dive into like Thrawn and Plagueis and Knights of the Old Republic. I think that's still canon, which is actually really cool. Like the Star Wars movies, they're cool, but the really cool stuff is outside of the lore. Like there's this guy, Darth Nihilus. He would strain the life force from entire planets, kill entire things, just use it to keep going. He wasn't even human. He was just the Force. Then this guy called Darth Sion, who just lives off of pain, and his whole body is just like a scar. It's really cool, honestly. Okay. But they made all that stuff not canon. It was really
Who makes the determination on that? George Lucas himself?
Now it's Disney, but Lucas sold to Disney, and now they say, hey, all this stuff ain't really canon. Knights of the Old Republic might still be canon, though.
Oh, Disney's such a fucking juice op. Huh?
You know, I wonder who would think that. But yeah, they're pretty messed up. Shout out cultural Marxism. I wrote a paper. Okay, I didn't actually write a paper. In high school, we had this new teacher come in because the other one was having a bunch of health issues, and he came in and actually started making us do work, which really sucked.
Ew.
Yeah, and our old one, he was really, really nice guy. I love him. But he didn't make us do as much work, really, as anyone else. He let me write a really good civil rights report on a certain German leader. I got a pretty good grade, honestly. My Spanish teacher didn't like it.
Otto von Bismarck, that's who you're talking about?
Yeah, I love Cars, man. Great movie. I like Tomater. But, freaking, what was I saying, man?
You're fucking professor. You wrote a report.
That
wasn't the point of this.
No,
cultural Marxism.
Cultural Marxism. Yeah. I was supposed to write a report, and this chick before me gave her presentation. I'm like, that sounds like a certain ethnic group of people. So I just switched out the word for cultural Marxist and just said a lot of the things I was seeing on Instagram at the time. And I got 100. And he's like, Mac, did you send me that paper? And I'm like, yeah, I think I did. He's like, oh, okay, I got it. I did not send him a paper at all. I just spoke from the heart and changed some offensive words around.
Yeah, the substitution for cultural Marxist is very nice.
It actually is really interesting, though, because you see how at the Frankfurt Institute they started doing all this stuff and some things that were happening in Weimar, Germany before the Nazis took over, and a lot of the things that were happening there.
Between 1919 and 1936, 1933.
They were very inclusive. First transgenders, actually. Botched circumcision.
I saw that. I saw, there's a lot of like hype around the book burnings that the Nazis did, and they never really tell you what books they were burning.
I think I know what books.
Yeah, I think I do too. I think
probably a bunch of manga.
Essentially, kinda. We bombed China. We bombed Japan into
China,
into hentai.
Lao.
Same to me.
You know that scene from freaking King of the Hill where he's like, "I'm from Laos." So is that in Japan or China? Small country bordered by Vietnam. so Japan or China? Like, my best friend, he's Filipino, and he keeps telling me about it, and it's like, so is that Japan? And he's like, no, it's an island. I'm like, Hawaii? No, it's an island. Are you sure you're Asian? I thought you were Mexican.
Filipinos are kind of the Mexicans of Asia.
Yeah, I called him C Mexican, but he's a really, really good guy, and his whole family's cool. I'm actually going to the Philippines in a bit. I know like 4 words. Mahalkita. No girl's got that in her name too.
What's that?
Mahalkita, which it's supposed to mean like my love, I think. I'm probably not saying that right.
I was in the Navy with a Filipino woman. It's really the culture shock of meeting people. She was like there for 30 years before she joined the Navy, so she was like very Filipino.
Yeah.
And her goal, she was about to retire the next year. She wanted to move back to the Philippines and be a mama-san. That
What's
was
a
her.
mama-san?
And they own the parlors,
Oh,
massage sometimes.
what kind of parlors?
Yeah, mostly just parlors, you know. But that was her goal. And to her, because she was raised in that culture, it
Yeah.
wasn't even an odd thing. She would say it openly.
Huh.
They don't have the same ideas of feminism in a lot of countries that the cultural Marxists have imposed on us.
Yeah.
What do we think about the needle that has moved on
Oh, I don't believe in vaccines.
on the Jays? It was like
I wonder who those could be.
it was like 7 years ago. You could
Say
not
anything.
Like, I was getting like videos taken down on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I was ahead of the curve, but I've always been interested in German politics from specific eras.
They used to be really into liberalism. They were really big on that. I wonder why that happened. Protestant Revolution, but whatever.
And now it feels like, especially on Instagram, it's like they've took the fucking governors off, bro. You can just say whatever. It's to the point where I'm now like reverse conspiracy theorying myself into thinking, is this the psyop?
You know,
Like,
it might be a psyop.
Is the psyop to like the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, and that way we really like
Alex Jones.
Jew. We take our eyes off of like some other guiding force.
Yeah.
But you look at the institutions, you look at like banking, and you look at finance, and you look
There's
at
a lot of bad people and a lot of bad things.
it almost feels like what could be the bigger psyop?
There's a lot of psyops out there, man, and it's like, what are all these things attacking at the end of the day, you know? Now, personally, I have my own opinions that a lot of other people would disagree with.
I think Western culture is in the crosshairs for sure.
Yeah.
The delineation of Roman culture downward is really what is mostly set.
Well, it's like America really took freedom and it like kept going with it. So it's like bigger, better, cheaper things, more pleasurable, guns, more food, all this. And it's like, you know, things kind of are different in like places like Italy. People talk about Protestant work culture and things like that. You know, you look at Italians on the street and they're just going to be, you know, talking to some chicks, you know, drinking coffee all day or doing whatever. And retirement and work culture is a lot different there too. And it's, you know, it's not like it's as bad as it in China with 996s and things of that nature. But it's like some people live to work and some work to live. But it gets into a thing. This is Humanite Vitae, like a recent encyclical. But it's like man isn't made for work. You know, work is something that we can offer to God, like Opus Dei. But at the same time, it's if you're familiar with Orthodoxy, they call their service or their mass, they call it a divine liturgy, which is a divine work. Work is sacrifice, and worship is sacrifice too. If we look at the Old Testament, a lot of the sacrifice was done with lambs or fruits or laborers or things like that, right? And a lot of people, you know, it's kind of tied into hustle culture and these things like, hey, I'm worth how much money I make. You go out with a girl, it's like, I make this much figures versus like, hey, is what I'm doing positively contributing to the world? Is it setting a good example? Can my
Emphasis on
kids do
virtue.
this? Yeah. But it's like, what is virtue nowadays?
Hustle culture fucking sucks.
That's pretty gay.
I think if you look
Now
at
I'm poor,
virtue,
but still.
the classical idea of virtue is what you want to aim for. I
Yeah.
think, and not what everybody wants to aim for, but I think it's the thing, like when we're deciding virtue, it's like, what is the set of values that if we all practice, we would be closer to utopia, moving closer to it than further away. And I think about, this was a big thing also on acid. I had this fucking revelation, was like, if we really just observed the 10 Commandments and everybody made that their personal doctrine, we would not need government.
Yeah.
We would not need social welfare.
Yeah.
We would not need like any of these things. And it's like when I see things that put that set of values in the crosshairs, and a lot of people have bad taste in their mouth from religion, especially here, because they grew up with a fucking grandmother or an aunt.
Like real legalistic things where it's like, it's not true to something you want to do, it's true to something you have to do, right?
Yeah.
But the Lord loves a cheerful giver. If you don't do something because you want to, it's not really worth it, you know? But, discipline's a big thing too. But
It is.
It gets, a lot of the things are why you do it and not what you do. Because you can do a great work, but if you're doing it for the sake of pride, bragging about it, all this crap, it doesn't really
You've
matter as
sapped
much.
the virtue out of the act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you put it through like a worldly lens. You can like justify it to yourself as, oh, I did this good thing or whatever. But yeah, that doesn't matter to God.
Yeah, because it's like, anyone can do something good, but it's like the story of the Pharisees who were given like, tons and tons of coins, and this one chick who searched her house for one coin and gave it, or even like Jesus and the centurion, he said, Lord, what must I do to be saved? And he said, I remember in Latin, it's Lord, only come under my roof, my soul will be saved. And he said, truly, this man has more faith than all of Israel. This guy had never partaken in the sacrifices, done the Jewish laws, kept all these feasts, but he fully believed and he wanted to do what he had to do. And a lot of people, they were turned away because they wouldn't make these sacrifices like the rich man. It wasn't the fact he was rich, it was the fact that he wouldn't give up what matters to him, right? And that's a big way how these things work. It's like if you do something one time, that's one thing. But if it's a habit and you can't give it up, that's a reason why you need to give it up,
It's interesting to hear this, especially, how old are you?
24.
24.
It was like a month ago.
I see this like this wave of this, especially like Orthodox sentiment in like these younger men. Like my generation is so cooked. We're so fucking cooked.
Us too.
But it's like these Gen Zers are coming up and they're fucking, you guys are radical on the whole, dude. Like the Instagram shift is not being put, like there are.
I've been crazy on it.
There are people in my generation that are doing it. What's the mustache guy on Instagram?
Doesn't narrow down.
He's fucking really heavy against Ian Carroll. There are like people of my generation that are like pushing this. Of course, Kanye is huge on like moving the needle towards like
but
Christian
some people, they
idealism.
only make it about racism. They don't make it about virtue. It's like, we hate this people, but there's nothing really to go beside that. You could talk about hate, but at the end of the day, you have to match it with some kind of virtue, right? And it's not, these people may just hate them because of their race, because they can't do anything about what they're, they can't do anything about how they're born. But it's like, how do you counter that if all you're talking about is hate and hoes?
You can't
and
just
all
be
this
purely
stuff.
oppositional.
Yeah, it's like, what kind of virtue you offer is, if your only argument is this is bad, is there anything to say this is good?
That is my problem with, and Friedrich Nietzsche wrote a really great critique of this in The Antichrist. He was talking about how he hated Western Christianity, like was vehemently opposed to Western Christianity. And he also wrote about this in The Genealogy of Morality, on how, he was opposed to this, but if you destroy Western Christianity and you don't put anything under to support society, because he did acknowledge that even though he was opposed to it, society, Western society specifically, was built on Christian values, 100%, not Judeo-Christian values. It was built on Christian values.
Sorry, because of the Schofield Bible, but whatever.
And you could attack that, but if you were purely oppositional and put nothing in its place, the result of what would happen was worse than the Christian values manifest.
And it's like weird when people try to like deal with these things. It's like, people getting married after living together for so long. It's like, why are you getting married? Well, it's the right thing to do. Why is it the right thing to do? Well, we do it because these people do it. Why did these people do it? Well, because it's a promise that lasts forever and is a vow. And it's like, why do you emulate all these things? You don't actually, you say you're Christian, but you go to church twice a year or whatever. And it's like, why do you go? Because everyone else does. Why do you think they do that? Because it's a nice song. And it's like, this is supposed to be a divine service, a liturgy. In the cases of things like Catholicism and Orthodoxy, you're sacrificing your works, your joys, your passions, your suffering, and uniting it with the suffering of Christ, then partaking in that of Christ, because they believe, and I believe, as a Catholic, that in some cases the host or the Eucharist, it is actually God. You are eating God and the Trinity, which is the big thing to get through. But a lot of things that we know about are really about convenience, right? And people don't think about it. Like in Mexico, people will crawl on their hands and knees to these icons or to churches and things like that. And here it's like, we have coffee in church, we're eating before we go. Whereas 50 years ago, it was supposed to be a 24-hour fast before you actually do go to the liturgy or the mass, Now it's like, we have food in church, we're drinking on church, the guy's giving me a motivational message, we're doing that, right? And that's not something we like. We like hustle culture and we like making money, but we don't like things that are bad. We don't like fasting. We don't like
Any
doing things that are
inconvenience.
uncomfortable, right?
Any
That's just kind of the
inconvenience.
world we live in. And you started talking about how there's a big shift in younger people. Personally, I believe it's because we're exposed to things like phones and video games and instant gratification a lot faster. And then you just tend to get depressed a lot faster because your dopamine
You
is so
100%
overwhelmed.
do.
Right? And people talk about like kids are exposed to porn so young and then it ruins everything.
10, 11 years old.
Yeah, and it's like, I was in school. I know a girl who lost her virginity at like 13 or
That's
something,
a
or
felony.
like 14. Yeah, by like older dude. And like, they were sleeping with dudes just to get a hoodie. And I was in private school,
Jesus Christ.
And it's like, at the end of the day, what's the purpose of what we're doing? What's the purpose of relationships? Is it pleasure? Is it a long-term thing?
I think there's a pragmatic way to approach that. Like, even if you're non-religious, it's like, why practice Christianity? Why adopt this set of morals? And it ultimately, in a pragmatic sense, comes down to when you take a society that adopts this set of virtues and morals and you match them militarily against any other society with any other group of ideals, this society wins. And that is what has been proven with Christianity. The Christians have not just accidentally ended up owning the West. Like, they created it because through the many attempts to destroy it, which still persist till today, this ideology, when practiced, when adhered to closely, is militarily superior to any other ideology.
It reminds me of the story of this saint. I forget where it was. I believe it was North Africa. But he'd get scolded because he'd give all of his money to the homeless. He's like, dude, this isn't smart. The church has no money. Then out of nowhere, they'd get more money. And he'd just keep giving everything he had. And he was poor. He didn't eat a lot, had no women, no money. On the surface, it's like all this dude's doing is just charity work. But he's, known as a saint. In the early church, we see these people are tortured to death. They give up everything they have, right? They're kings or princes in Rome. They reject all that. They get put into slavery. They get tortured. They get burned alive. They get scalped. And now it's like, man, I have to eat before I go to church. I got to be comfortable. Well, I can't go right now. I'm sleepy.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just live in a place.
The level of conviction that we have towards our highest held ideals is so much less. And I'm guilty.
I'm
by
a
the
horrible
way.
person.
I am.
You probably heard a lot of it thus far. I'm not a great guy.
No. I wonder how long we've been doing this.
Probably a while.
This really stood still for me. This has been excellent. We're about 51. We'll probably go ahead and wrap this here soon. Dude, this is probably the most interesting podcast episode I've ever shot.
It's hard for me to keep on track. You want to talk about jiu-jitsu?
No, fuck no, dude. Let's talk about militant Christian radicalism.
I know some people are into that. Oh my gosh. You ever heard of a thing called the Battle of Lepanto? So the Ottomans were supposed to take over Europe. They were outnumbering the Christians by 100 times. And the Pope at the time said, hey, everyone, we need to pray the rosary or we are all going to get raped and pillaged. And literally the West will fall. And they say, even on like the Muslim side of things, the Ottomans, that they saw the Blessed Virgin in the sky. And these people outnumbered 1 to 50. Killed all the Ottomans and made them run away, right? It's a thing called the Battle of Lepanto. And it's like, these things really shouldn't make sense. These people who started out poor and persecuted ended up taking over everything. And, people can talk about Japan and China. Those are powerhouses, but they have really bad suicide rates. They have really bad reproduction rates. And it's like, why is this? They're making a ton of money, and they have this kind of hustle culture and a lot of work.
Produce.
And it's like, especially in Japan, I watch a lot of anime and all this, so I'm kind of familiar, but there's these things called hikokimoris, which is like you stay at home all the day, you read manga, you don't do anything else. And there, it's such a
Japanese
different society.
incels.
Yeah, essentially. And it's like over there, getting with a prostitute is legal. It's checked by the government, like they all get STD checked, and it's not considered cheating. So if you have a girlfriend, at least this is according to what I've heard in a lot of interviews and things like that, it's like if you have a girlfriend and you get with a prostitute, it's like, that's not cheating on me. He's just, trying to get out some steam or whatever. And it's like, it's a real change of values. And in a lot of these countries that are really market-centric, it's like they have these old faiths like Shintoism or the ones in China, I can't really remember, Taoism or whatever, but it's like they only practice that as a formality or like at festivals, but it doesn't really intrude their life,
Which is what is cool about Christianity, is it is like an all-encompassing ideology.
It should be, at least.
It should be, at least. Yeah, it's so hard to do, man.
But, it's like you got to know a tree by its fruit. He who abides in me and I in him are dead. A tree without fruit is dead, And it's like, you can believe all these things and know all these philosophies and all these theologians be able to argue these points. But if you're not showing any virtue, what's the point, It's a lot of optic stuff. It's like people are big on Nick Fuentes, and like, you know, he could talk about why these things are bad.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, he's not really a great person. He blasphemes the mother of God. He just says a lot of slurs. And, you know, we talked about we can joke around, but at the end of the day, are you doing something to be offensive, or are you doing something to make the world better? You know, are you doing it for approval?
I bounce back and forth with him because he's obviously like, he's speaking to us.
Yeah.
He's speaking to like
Losers.
incels.
I think you're a cool guy.
No, he's speaking to like young white guys.
Yeah.
Like that's obviously like.
I think he's also Mexican too.
He is. He is a proud Mexican, he says.
5'4" king.
But it's also like the level of vitriol that he conveys. Like, is that
I don't know
constructive?
what that means, but it's cool.
Is that constructive at all? That just the anger that he sprays out? Like, yeah, we do need probably radical change. There are like a lot of things.
Things pretty screwed up.
We do need that, but it's like I don't know, the message is almost lost in the messaging with him.
Yeah.
But it's like Nick Fuentes is a side effect. He is not the illness.
Yeah.
He is, when you repress a group of people, especially a productive group of people that are like, whose lineage is responsible for the fucking
the world,
the whole thing, and you tell these people that they're the problem and their ancestors were the problem when their ancestors are the ones that fucking constructed this and put the Legos together.
There's a reason we're here.
Yeah, you're obviously going to get disaffected males who are looking for somebody that says, hey, it's not your fault. And that is, it's what Jordan Peterson was first before he got cucked into the Daily Wire. I think you might be too young to have hit the Jordan Peterson wave.
No, I know Jordan Peterson.
Well, he was, dude, when I, like 2014, 15, 16, when he was releasing all of his
I didn't know he was doing stuff that long ago.
He had a YouTube channel where he was just releasing his college lectures. And it was like, it introduced me to Christianity in a way that I'd never seen it before, as like a not like strict belief in God, but more of a pragmatic system to operate under so that the gears of the world would turn. He was a side effect of disaffected white males who had been told that they're the problem, their ancestors were the problems. And then, I mean, Alex Jones before him, to a sense. And then obviously Nick Fuentes is the next one. And it's not that I'm worried about Nick, it's that I'm worried about the next one.
Yeah, because it's probably going to be more extreme or something based off that.
Well,
it's like what happened with Clavicular and all these other streamers. Like this guy got famous for saying some, you know, crazy radical stuff. The next guy's doing them. Before you know it, you kind of lost the point, and it's just an entertainment
Clav's
thing.
Another side effect. It's like, is he even lying? Like, what is he telling men? The only way to get attention from women is to make a bunch of money and make yourself as physically beautiful as possible.
Yeah, it's like
Andrew Tate. You look at like online dating, and you look at these women who are just fucking wiener showered all day with attention and affection. Yes, and mostly trans. But these girls who are fucking, it's 40 pounds, 50 pounds overweight with 3 kids who are being selective.
Yeah. I need a man who makes 7 figures.
Yeah. I need a man who's at least 6'8" with 11 visible abs who makes 9 figures a year.
I need a girl who got less than 6 women or less than 6 children.
Yeah. I need a woman who just will not leave.
Preferably biologically female.
Preferably. Clav's matches though. Clav's message is true.
Yeah.
The only way to operate in the current system is to fucking looks max. You got to get big. You got to be beautiful. You got to make money.
You know what? You a big, beautiful guy.
Dude, that's what
BBG,
I think about you.
Baby girl. Dude, that's what I'll be thinking about you for real. I know this guy named Lindo. Well, I could start calling him BBL, Big Booty Lindo, or Bubble Butt.
Lindo.
He's actually in the military, fighting for our freedom.
Dude,
miss that guy.
Shout out to Lindo. We'll have his link in the description if you want to send him something.
Thank you for your service. I saw him guillotine a guy on a bouncy house in the Middle East. Not allowed to disclose where.
That's incredible.
Cool
well,
guy.
I got to go get a haircut, Mack Pain. This podcast has been brought to you by Ambush Peptides. We have a link below with my discount code. 15% off everything in the fucking store. There's a peptide for everything. Message me or message Ambush Peptides. Mac, dude, this fucking ruled. Thank you so much. I love you deeply.
I'd die if I have you.
My brother in Christ.
Thank you. Finger really hurts.
Till next time. Boom.